So today, Clara and I are at SeaTac International Airport, and we're heading to Kauai. This isn't some romantic getaway for us. Well, kinda is, because my buddy Noah's getting married, and we were invited. Me and Clara said yes pretty much immediately. Why would we refuse a trip to a tropical island? Once boarding the plane, I realized I didn't have a TV, nor did I have a window. So my only option was to raw dog this flight. After 5 brutal hours, we landed in Kauai.
The missing piece.
While waiting at the airport, I felt it was time to load up some film. After all, I brought plenty of it. First roll I'd load up is some expired Fujicolor Super HQ200. I've shot plenty of expired Fujicolor in the past, and I've really liked the results. Honestly, I just miss Fujifilms in general. I always like their colors. Anyways, I shot this roll at ISO 50 rather than 200 because I had no clue how this roll was actually originally stored. It just kinda came into my possession along the lines of collecting cameras and stuff. Once we acquired our rental car, me and Clara headed into town to get some lunch, where we stopped off the Nepali Coast Brewing, which was pretty good. From the brewery, we ran into town so I could grab some provisions. From there, we ran to our hotel and grabbed our room. After checking it out for about 5 seconds, we realized that once you've seen one hotel room, you've seen 1,000. So me and Clara decided to drop off our bags and hit the beach.
Let's go.
You dropped your glasses.
Oh no.
On the sandy shores of Kauai, I decided on loading up my medium format camera. Which camera did I bring? Well, I brought my Rolleiflex. Honestly, the main reason I brought the Rolleiflex was it's small, compact, and lightweight, which is more than I can say about the Mamiya RB67 or the Pentax 67. Also, the 12 shots per roll, that's another benefit. I know the 6x6 format isn't the most popular, but I don't care. I do like a square format image from time to time. So anyways, I grabbed my Rolleiflex and loaded up some Kodak Gold 200 and started shooting. From the hotel and beach, Claire and I decided to walk back into town, because we thought, why not? We had nothing else to do today and might as well check out the scenes.
Meat!
It's so hot.
And sticky.
Was growing my mustache out for this trip a good idea? I don't know. We'd eventually make it to this little bar and hit the happy hour up for some drinks and food.
That's real ginger.
As the sun began to set, me and Claire decided to head back to the hotel and I would capture some golden hour photos.
Dun 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 dun, and you'll only get that if you have kids.
The nicest part about our hotel is that I actually had a tiki bar on site. Me and Clara would come here every single night just to sit out on the patio and enjoy the island scenes. It's not every day that you're on a tropical island. The next morning was a free day because we didn't have any responsibilities until that evening. So me and Claire decided to go check out the island. Our first stop of the day would be the small town known as Kauai. Hope I'm saying that right. While here though, I decided on loading up some Harman Phoenix 200, which I'd be shooting at ISO 125. I was actually really interested in seeing how Phoenix would perform here in this tropical environment, since I haven't seen much photos from these types of environments with this film stock. As well, I thought this would be a great time to bust out my new lens for my Canon system, my Tamron SP 35mm f1.8. So I've actually never owned a dedicated 35mm lens for my Canon EOS systems, so I thought this was a worthwhile investment, especially since I was going to take some photos of my buddy during his wedding. Well, before we start shooting, let's get some coffee.
That's a lot of flags, gang. Miracles.
So it's time to head out of Kauai, but let's talk about Phoenix real quick. I really like the halation in some of these photos. As well, the greens are nice and punchy. The oranges are nice too. But sometimes that contrast gets really muddy. As well, it gets really crunchy too in some of these scenes. But it's not too bad. So on our way to our next stop, I pulled over on this canyon overlook, where I'd shoot some more with the Phoenix. As well, I grabbed some Fuji Pro 400H and loaded it up into my Rolleiflex. Claire and I would eventually make our way to the south side of the island to the town of Ilford to stop at the Kauai Island Brewing Company for some lunch.
Kauai.
The nice thing about going to breweries is making friends with your bartender, because they'll tell you about cool places to check out. Like how our bartender told us about a nice little beach that wasn't too far away, that she said we had to check out. And lucky for us, once we made it to the beach, there were some monk seals waiting for us. Eventually, Claire and I made it back to the hotel so we could prepare for the wedding reception dinner. Being a dude takes me 5 seconds to get ready for a wedding dinner, so I ran out to the beach to finish up the roll of Harman Phoenix. I'm happy I did this, because these photos turned out to be the best photos on this roll. At least that's what I think. Dolled up and looking cute, Claire and I ran into town to the reception dinner, where we'd meet up with the rest of the wedding party.
Like something like this would make it, kind of put it up just to do my makeup, my face makeup, but no.
Something, something, something I would understand. Please don't put this in.
After dinner, Clara and I ran back to the Tiki Lounge, but this time with company. Matt and Jordan were there with us, and they were actually staying at the same hotel, so we stayed out all night and talked for way too long.
That was pretty cute though.
I was really hoping that you guys would end up here.
Who knew? Wait, did you guys know each other first, or did you both know Noah first?
Are we taking a picture?
I'm taking a video. Jesus Christ.
What's this?
The next morning, the wedding party was heading to the Nepali Coast. Unfortunately for me, I spent the first half of this trip being horrifically seasick. I had been on boats before in my life, but I've never been on water this choppy, so yeah, it was really just not agreeing with me. I spent this first half of the day trying to be fun and engaged, even though I wasn't feeling well. And in between deep breaths, I was able to take some photos with my Canon EOS 30, where I'd be shooting some Kodak Color Plus. Eventually we'd get to a stopping point and park the catamaran, and we would all get in the water, which was the only thing that made me feel better. I was honestly tempted to see if I could pay the crew to tow me behind the boat for the rest of the trip, because it's the only thing that was stopping me from wanting to throw up. Anyways, at this point, I ended up loading up my third camera of the trip, my Nikonos III, where I'd be loading up some Ilford HP5 and I'd be pushing it to 1600. I always think black and white film in Hawaii is a mood. For a place that's so vibrant and tropical, it's just kind of neat to see it in a monochromatic scheme. As well, taking photos in the water and underwater, that was kind of fun. It's something I never really get to do. I think I got some really fun photos from this little mini session, especially of this one of the kid jumping off the boat. At this point, I finished up the roll of HP5 and the Nikonos. As well, it was time to head back onto the bow and move down the coast. So I was back to the Canon EOS 30 and the Kodak Color Plus, along with another secret camera. One of the coolest things I think that happened on this little catamaran trip was that some dolphins started following the bow on the second half. I grew up in a beach town, so seeing dolphins on the coastline wasn't too uncommon, but this was the first time I'd be this close to them in the wild.
And grab one.
I think Matt's feeling a lot better.
So at this point in the day, my seasickness had gone completely away. I had been fine since we went snorkeling. Unfortunately though, my buddy Matt, he wasn't feeling too good. He was feeling pretty bad.
4 cookies and then it got choppy. I said, oh.
He literally ate 4 cookies.
Yeah. I was like,
I got in trouble for eating 4 cookies. Well, not real trouble, but...
After an epic day of exploring the Nepali Coast, it's time to call it quits for the day and head back to the hotel. The next day was wedding day, but me and Clara had a free morning, so we ran into town to get some breakfast, and I brought the Rolleiflex with me so I can finish off that Pro 400H in the camera.
Who's ready for breakfast?
this do I get the Louis Vuitton
After breakfast, we had nothing else to do, so we decided to take a walk around town just to check things out. Eventually, I'd finish up the Pro 400H in the Rolleiflex, and I'd load up some Kodak Ektar 100. Ektar is a film stock that's not really in my normal rotation of film stocks. I kind of fell into the online tray of Ektar is bad. But after looking at some of these photos, I'm starting to think they're all wrong. Ektar is kind of great. It's definitely not a pastel look like Portra. It's definitely more saturated and contrasty, but that's what I kind of like about it. As well, those inky blacks you can get from this film stock are fantastic. So once back at the hotel, I knew I had to finish up the roll of Kodak Color Plus in the Canon EOS 30. I grabbed Clara and my tripod, decided to head down to the beach so we can take some self-portraits, but not before I took some other shots as well. I'm really glad I brought the tripod here and took some self-portraits. This is not every day that I get to take beautiful photos of me and my girlfriend on a tropical beach. Wet ass. So with the goal of finishing up the Kodak Color Plus, you'd probably think I'd wait around to load up the next roll till that evening. No, I didn't do that. I actually loaded up a roll of Ilford SFX 200. So if you're a fan of this channel and you've heard the words SFX, you know I'm doing trichromes. And if you're new to the channel and you're like, what the hell's a trichrome? I do these things called infrared trichromes where I take 3 different black and white photos with 3 different color filters and make 1 color photo out of them, making 1 color infrared photo. They're a little bit different since it's 3 different individual photos stacked on top of each other, so there's definitely movement in the scene, but that makes it kind of a little more dreamy. Again, if you're familiar with my trichrome setup, you'd probably be interested in what filters I used on these photos. This round it was the infrared filter, the orange filter, the yellow-green filter, as well as the blue filter. I didn't really try too hard on more compelling compositions with these trichromes, but I do like them. Honestly, the whole point of this was to kind of get a redemption arc, because I did some infrared trichromes last year on Oahu. I didn't like them that much, so I'm glad these turned out better. Eventually the roll of SFX was finished up, and it was time to head back to the room and wait to go to the wedding. So eventually it was time to get dressed and head to the wedding, and I would bring some cameras with me. Of course I'd be bringing my Canon EOS 30 with me. It was my workhorse for this trip. I'd be shooting with a 17 to 40mm f4 lens. As well, I'd be pairing it up with some Kodak Ultramax 400, but I'd be pushing to the 1600, which may have not been a good idea. I had decided on doing this because I had shot some Kodak Ultramax I had pushed to 1600 a year ago and it looked great, and I thought it'd turn out better here. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work. Luckily for me though, my secret backup camera, there's a reason why I brought it. I actually brought my Canon 5D Mark I with me. I've owned this camera for years. It's one of my favorite cameras I've ever owned. I'll never get rid of it. And yeah, now you know I shoot digital, but everybody does. The main reason I brought my 5D with me was this was not about me. This was about my buddy, and I wanted to capture some great photos for him and his bride. Again, I was flirting with disaster, pushing an economic film stock like Ultramax, and I knew that there could be a possibility of either X-ray or something else happening to this film stock that would kind of cause things to go haywire. So I decided on backing up all these photos with digital. Again, I'm not really anti-digital, I just know this is a film photography YouTube channel, but I've been kind of leaning into maybe shooting a little bit more of digital in the future now. Especially with film stocks going up in price, it's just pretty hard to justify just to constantly shoot film like I once have. But maybe film prices will go down and maybe I'll go back to shooting exclusively film. But no, I'm glad I brought this digital camera along because it definitely served its purpose as a backup on this event. Congratulations, Caitlin and Noah. Your wedding was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for having me and Clara.
Yeah, I got me never seen it, so.
Don't put that in your video. Don't do it.
The rest of the evening was basically a boat ride back into town, followed by a lovely dinner. So the night before, I didn't finish the roll of Kodak Ultramax 400 into it, so I rewound it back into the canister because I didn't really want to shoot that this afternoon. With the film rewound, I retrieved the leader. After that though, it was time to load up a new roll of film. At this point, I'd be shooting something a little bit different for the channel. I'd be shooting some Pro Image 100, but I'd be shooting it as Redscale film. Why Redscale? I don't know, I just felt like being weird. Anyways, today's trip started off with us going to the North Shore. Pretty much when we first got out here, it was raining, it was foggy, it was hot, and it was causing my camera to go nuts because it couldn't autofocus through the steam that was accumulating on the lens filter that I had on the camera. So I wasn't having fun, and also it's like kind of hungover from the night before, so today was kind of a train wreck to start off with. Eventually I found my bearings and the rain cleared for a bit. So me and Clara went into this small little town just to get some coffee and just to kind of even ourselves out. The North Shore was really nice. It was definitely more remote and more secluded. I was having a lot of fun here, even though we kept coming in and out of pretty much torrential rain the entire time we're out here. I tried to pull over as much as I could to record and take some photos, but pretty much we were getting rained out. Clara and I tried our best to explore the North Shore, but we were definitely dealing with on and off showers the entire time we were up there. Clara and I even tried to go swimming here on the North Shore, but after getting rained out on the beach, we decided to kind of head back towards the hotel. We eventually made our way back to Nepali Coast Brewing, where me and Claire had stopped the first day. We were both kind of running out of steam and kind of needed a pick-me-up. It was also at this point I kind of forgot to record B-roll, so here's some photos I took. Eventually it was time to fill up the rental car with gas so we could return in the next morning. And at this point, I decided to just kind of finish up the last couple of shots of this Redscale film. Don't get me wrong, Redscale photography is fun. I just don't think I can make serious work with it. I'm happy I took these photos, but I just don't know what looks better for me. Infrared trichromes or Redscale. Either way, they both look weird. So now back at the hotel, I was looking at my Nikonos 3. I was feeling pretty guilty about bringing it all this way out here just to shoot one roll of film. So I decided on loading up a roll of Kodak Ektachrome Elitechrome 200 into it, just to kind of take some photos. Again, I usually don't shoot expired slide film too often, because it always ends up looking like shit, but I was willing to give it a try. And yeah, these photos don't look great. There's definitely color shifts going on in these photos, as well there's a little bit of a dullness that goes on with these photos as well too. But there is something I do like about them. There's something I can't quite put my finger on. What I do like about these photos is I do love the color blue that's been represented in these photos. As well, the magenta color cast does add to that kind of vibrancy. As well, the blacks in this get that really inky newspaper style of black that I think it's actually kind of hard to find in film. With the Elitechrome finished, we left the pool and headed back to the room to get ready for a luau. I I would bring the Canon EOS 30 with me, but I'd be shooting some expired Fujifilm Superia 400. As well, I'd have the Rolleiflex on me, and I'd be finishing up the Ektar.
It really depends.
Absolutely.
What are you recording? This looks...
At this point in the night, surrounded by friends, I decided to make them my models and do some portrait photography. I don't really do portrait photography too much, but it's pretty easy to just kind of snap photos of your friends. And know what's easier than taking photos of your friends? Taking photos of your girlfriend, because she'll humor you and just let you do your thing.
Not my pores. Rat shirt.
Yeah, it was Caitlin's decision. Oh, this is where it's at. Look at
Oh, that's where they buried the pig.
R.I.P. man.
I'd eventually finish up the roll of Ektar and the Rolleiflex and load up some Cinestill 800T. I shot 800T last year in Oahu, and I didn't really like the photos, but I think that was a me issue. After looking at these photos though, I can definitely tell it was a me issue, because these look a lot better. This was a great time, hanging out with friends, listening to this live music, and just joking around and having a great time, as well as drinking all those free cocktails. I would eventually finish up the roll of expired Superia in the Canon EOS 30. Up next, I would try to finish off that roll of Ultramax 400 that I had shot previously the day before. From the luau, we made our way to the theater and watched a couple ceremonial dances for the rest of the evening. And that was it for the luau, and we all called it a night. So Clara and I ran off to the Tiki Lounge, and we met up with Jordan and Matt again, and kind of ended our last night on the island here. At this point too, I decided to bring out the tripod and kind of finish up the roll of Cinestill and the Rolleiflex, as well finish up the Ultramax and the Canon EOS 30. So it was our last day on the island, and we would spend it by waking up early, returning our car, and heading to the airport.
Good morning.
Bored in the airport, I decided on loading up another roll of film into my Canon EOS 30. And I grabbed a roll of Ektar 100. And I'm glad I did. These photos are fantastic. I've spent my early film photography days avoiding Ektar because I heard so many other people saying they disliked it. And I'm really glad I kind of revisited it and kind of made my own assumptions on the film stock. I've shot Ektar in every trip I took this summer, and I'm really glad I did. It's definitely a different film stock, it definitely delivers a different look, but I'm kind of starting to love it. There's something about the really inky blacks you can get out of it when you expose it properly that makes something really kind of like print-worthy already from a scan, which is kind of unique. As well, the saturation and contrast of this film stock is really, really nice, I think, too. Also, the punchiness of the blues and greens of this film stock, they're incredible as well, too. I'm really happy though I revisited Ektar this summer because I've really liked the photos I've captured with it. I'm honestly thinking I should revisit Ektar and shoot it around here in Northwest and see if I can make some better looking photos. As well, I've been kind of thinking about re-exploring Portra 160 because I've only been hearing good things about it, and it's been about 4 years since I've shot it last.
We are getting ready to close the door here.
anyways, that was my trip to Kauai. It was an honor being there for Noah and Kaylin on their wedding day. As well, it was really fun seeing Matt and Jordan again. I love those two. And to end of this video, all I have to say is this. Now looking back at this footage from 6 months ago, and now sitting here in my office in Washington in the dead of winter, I wish I was back on a tropical island.